If running back is the FOMO position in fantasy football, then tight end is definitely the money ball spot you're shooting your shot on this year and every year in fantasy football. And we got a money ball option for you right now that's emerging in drafts as in a few minutes ago. And we're looking at Darren Waller, tight end of the Miami Dolphins. He's activated off the pup, and now everybody's wondering what to do with him, how the market's going to react. Is he draftable? Is he not? Do I need him? Do I not? That's what we're here for. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, all the advanced metrics, situation, whatever I can think of. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking about your players every day, your draft strategies. We're going to help you with those rankings. We're going to help you find those gems off the waiver wire. We're going to help you set those lineups. Every single day, we're going nowhere. Click that button. Stop missing out. But he's back. He's back. He's activated off the pup. He's with the Dolphins. He came out of nowhere this summer. It was almost like a meme, but he's here. He's here now, and things are starting to get real. And it was an undisclosed injury / ramping up to get back in shape for football. Nothing was really shown to us while he was on the pup, but we kind of understand. It was like a silent nod, like, hey, he's going on the pup type deal. It's all good. It's all good. But Darren Waller, big-time tight end prospect. A big-time tight end that won a lot of people money in fantasy football. Just hashing back the old days. Was not recruited out of high school, really. Went to Georgia Tech. Ownership of the passing production, he was a big deal there. But we get to the combine. We blow the doors off the track there. 4.46 40-yard dash. Former wide receiver. We do not convert to tight end until later in our career. We're 6'6", 255 pounds, and we look like Alex Pereira. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with the Raiders, 2019-2020. Remember, we started our career as a wide receiver with the Ravens. We get to the Raiders. We start ramping up. Everybody wants him. The athleticism shines through. And then we get hit up with injuries. Those injuries are a huge story to how we get to now, because it was left and right, starting in like 2021. And they just kept racking up. And if you kept getting hit with injuries left and right, you probably need some time off. You probably do so, especially when you're in your 30s, later stages of your career. You're looking at Daniel Jones. I understand. And it also plays a tell in his scoring here in fantasy football. 13.1 points per game. In 2019, 2020, 2021, just racking up tight end 1 weeks. Not just tight end 1 weeks, but dominant tight end 1 weeks. And then it tails off. That's when the injuries start to hit up. And that's what we're seeing here. But we see a depth chart here with the Miami Dolphins that's bare bones. And it's Darren Waller. They put all their eggs in the Darren Waller basket here, and they're going to see if they can thrive with it. They can see if they can catch that bounce back. He has a coaching staff connection with Frank Smith. That's his former tight ends coach, now his offensive coordinator. So he's feeling good. He's excited about that. He's excited about Mike McDaniel. That's something to know. This is kind of how this deal kind of came about. This is what got Darren Waller out of bed here to play fantasy football. If not, he'd be still doing music, whatever he wants to do. But also, last season, Tua targeted the tight end position on 20% of his passing targets. That's something to note, but on the last 3 years together, it's 16%. We had a lot of injuries with the Miami Dolphins. A lot of them. That offense was wrecked. We'll discuss that here in a second. But you're looking at this offense. Tyreek Hill, 959 yards. Jonnu Smith, 884. Devin Achane got some work. Jalen Waddle missed a lot of games there. Played banged up. 744 yards. So they need somebody to step in. They need some extra weapons in this offense. Jonnu Smith is gone. They only had him for a year. There was a little ramp-up period there. And you can tell, like, during the start of the season, they were healthier. They were better off at wide receiver before the injuries came in, and Jonnu Smith wasn't getting as much work. But also during that time, he was popping off here and there. The back end of the season, after that ramp-up period, he went off. from week 11 to week 18. Double-digit weeks, 20-point games there in fantasy football production. That's good. That's solid. And just like your buddy can't stop dating fat chicks, the Dolphins also have a fetish for highly athletic tight ends. That's why they're back with Darren Waller. That's why they're trying to get him, because they had Jonnu Smith there. That is a trend we are seeing, and that fits the mold. Also with the whole team, like I said, this team was banged up last year. So that's going to impact things. How the targets flow in the offense, it's going to go back to previous seasons. So he may not get Jonnu Smith workload off the rip. Jonnu Smith did not get Jonnu Smith workload off the rip. That is an indicator here. It may take some time. He didn't get a full training camp. And you need to strategize appropriately with the tight end position. You either want to pay up, pay for a middle round guy that you like so he's a little cheaper, or you stream the tight end position, because sometimes week to week, like the 6th best tight end, the 5th best, the 8th best, the 9th best, is only scoring like 1 or 2 more points more than the tight end 25. And when you think about it along those terms, you may want to just get your guy and either pay up so you know you're getting that steady tight end, or just fade the position, get you a guy late in the draft, and then stream and turn and burn throughout the year. Because you're going to see a lot of weeks like this. Not all of them. Things shaped up after like week 4 or 5 last year and got a little bit better. But the year prior, the year before that, it's always been a trend that you're going to catch some weeks where the tight end position is dank. So you want to strategize around it. This position can be very volatile. But what we're seeing here in ADP, once he went to the Dolphins, it spiked up. He was draftable to people because he was getting drafted in the double-digit rounds, round 18, 17, 16 of underdog. That's still undrafted in a lot of fantasy leagues, but still he was shooting off the board, looking at that upside. A lot of people were connecting the dots of him and Jonnu Smith. He's going to shoot up the board again. Over the weekend and in next weekend, he's going to shoot up the board. It's going to go up to where it was. So a lot of people are going to pull up on him in your fantasy draft, maybe the last pick, maybe they go late round tight end, and they're going to look at Darren Waller. And with this shot, there's no sunk cost, so if he bottoms out or has a slow ramp up, there's no loss really, because he's one of the last picks, and he's on a team that moves the football, that's fast-paced. He's proven he can be a productive, but he's also a major risk because he could not score, because he may not get targeted much during the start of his career with the Dolphins. That might happen this year, and it might be till the back end of the season before he really ramps up. That could be a huge possibility because we've seen it before with Jonnu Smith with his team. But he is an elite talent, or was an elite talent. He used to be an elite talent. What he used to be was grand for fantasy football. He's with a team that can produce fantasy producers. That's something to acknowledge and chase. However, you may not like him because he's too old, too injured. He's on a new team. You might even like him, but you're like, I'm just going to draft Brock Bowers. I'm going to draft Sam Laporta. I'm going to pay up for my tight end. I'm not going to mess around streaming. I don't want to do that. That's too much of a headache. I'm not going to get him. I'll pick him up off the waiver wire. I'm just going to see what happens later on this season. You may do that. You may like him and just strategize around him differently. Whatever you want to do, but we got to call this out. We got to look at the numbers, what's going on with this situation. We got to see what's happening here with Darren Waller so you can make your decision. So really what we're covering here is tight end strategy. Do you want to pay up for your tight end, get those top tier weeks, steady production, or do you want to pay down, fade it, stream tight end, or get a mid-round tight end? That way you don't have that sunk cost fallacy mixed in there, and you play the waiver wire a little bit harder with those matchups. That's all on you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.